Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, where once again it is too damn hot in Helsinki. I'm sweating like a whore in church, but we got plenty to talk about with major activity happening today. That being the weekly and monthly closes for all major markets, and then of course Bitcoin's monthly close coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So that is going to really set the tone for the next couple months of price action here, and even in the short-term time frames, there's actually quite a bit of things to talk about there as well. We did hit our short-term target to the downside on Bitcoin yesterday at 11,800 or 11,800. Wait, that's $1,000 off. My bad. 10,800-ish region, and then popping back up to the top side of the range at, I believe I said 11.2, which we got about $50 shy of there. And now what happens next? Well, what happens next is mostly going to be a waiting game as far as the longer-term timeframes go. But even in the shorter-term timeframes, there are a few things to be aware of there as well. So we'll get into that just in just a second here. I do want to also talk about the open interest, which is still hovering around that 2.35 billion marker. Oh, by the way, for those of you in the Jewel, there will be a video released, I believe today. Was just speaking with Morinfall, so should be coming out relatively soon. Other than that, by the way, he's been situating himself into a new country recently. So if you're wondering why he hasn't been as responsive on Discord, that's likely why. Anyways, open interest is still hanging around that marker, but I really want to see the inflection with the macro area that we've been documenting for the last few weeks, which is 11,500. I really want to see what the open interest prints if and when Bitcoin does actually exceed that area. And the interplay that we'd be looking for there is we'd actually really want to see an increase in open interest if this move is to be more or less efficacious. Alongside many other things, Bitcoin dominance pretty much steady, coming down a few points here as Bitcoin essentially ranges at the top, and we do see that the fear and greed index is hanging around that 75 marker. So again, maintaining the greedy zone for the first time in a long time, but that's to be expected after a nice massive $1,500 rally day. Okay, so let's get into the actual charts themselves right now, or do we want to check out some data right here? Let's go see what the Bitcoin global funding rate is looking like right now. Is it getting a little bit higher? No, actually coming down. So didn't even get to a critical point to begin with. I mean, 0.06% is nothing. It really becomes like a consideration above 0.1%. That's when, if you're holding about $1 million in contract position on any major exchange, you're probably paying $5,000 to $7,000 a day to hold that at that point. But below that region, for that. For holding that big of a position, it's really not a huge consideration. So even this is, pretty inconsequential as far as I look at it. Everything else is more or less what you'd expect. Fear and greed index over here getting charted, but only got information for the last couple of months, so a little bit less useful right now. But over time, that will hopefully come into parity anyways, or sorry, not parity, but that'll become, actually documentable. All right, so let's go into the actual traditional markets right on over here. Real trading, well, kind of is, but sorry. Oh, by the way, I was on Cointelegraph channel yesterday for a 9-hour stream. I wasn't on for all 9 hours, of course, as I like to sleep and everything and relax, by the way. But if you want to check it out, I was on the very first panel there with Tone Bays and in Michael, Crypto Michael from Twitter, who was actually really cool. So yeah, anyways, looking at NASDAQ futures right now, once again, popping up to the tops of the range we spoke about yesterday, another tick back up to the 10.9 region, as we said was likely, and hanging out in the blue box territory once again. The real question is this ready to break right here, right now? I don't really necessarily have a strong opinion on that. My strong opinion is on today's closure for the daily, weekly, monthly, and here's really all that I have to say about this. If it closes anything like this, anything above 10,800, we could even say. I'm looking for new all-time highs coming into August and probably even September as well. Momentum will remain to the upside, yes, as long as we do close this monthly above 10,750. So that's really what I'll be watching today, and that is actually encompassed even by the short-term time frame range within this blue box territory right here. This actually gives you $100 delta between those two. And in fact, this would be the 10,750-ish region right here. So I don't really have a strong opinion on what this does today. We kind of hit our targets from yesterday. If anything, I do think that it probably does come back down and play out a little bit of a pullback, maybe down to like 10,800-ish low. But overall, the setup here is for the weekly and monthly, and things are looking pretty damn good coming into August as far as this is concerned. I'd be looking for, like I said, new all-time highs with any sort of a monthly closure, especially above 10,800-ish region. I'm curious what the weekly looks like as well. Weekly looks like continuation as well, putting in a higher low right here, which will be confirmed with any sort of a closure above 10,850-ish region, and same sort of implications with this one as well. Weekly RSI looking very, 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 very good here. And overall, I would be looking at this as saying we're very likely to get another leg here. I don't think that this is going to be the top. I think that this is going to be just another opportunity. Now, of course, there's always the other side of that trade, and I would say that I'd essentially maintain this position as long as it's closing daily dildos above 10,500-ish region, all the way down here, which I believe we have another blue box. Yes, indeed, we do, down around this region right here. So as long as it maintains that level, I'm generally looking at this as another base building before another move to the upside. And I do believe the next measured move to the upside, if I have it plotted correctly right here, is it's blocked by the fucking chart. All right, let's get rid of that. Okay. Oh, now there then it goes away. God damn it, trading view. 11,300-ish regions where I'd be looking towards. If we get those closures, more importantly. But looking at the daily right here, I think it looks pretty healthy overall. Looking at daily Stokes, about to reject the bearish control zone and pop back up as price action is essentially retesting the all-time high, on a closing basis. I mean, there's nothing bearish about that, as momentum once again curls back up to the upside, and daily RSI regaining the exponential. I like both these things kind of working together, and looks like it will very likely follow through, but with formalities, I would say I'd really be looking for today's closure. That's really not that far away, and it will very likely drive the next month or two of price action. Looking at E-mini futures for SPY, I'd imagine it's going to be more or less the same thing. We did get a retest of that 325 region, 326 region that we spoke about yesterday, and I'd essentially be saying the same thing here as well. We can see that momentum will naturally remain to the upside as long as we close this daily dodo above. What is this area? The 10 simple from yesterday, 324 region. And I would be essentially looking for that to extrapolate spurn upon a move, still towards this gap over here, the same move that I've been talking about for the last few weeks, just happening over time, inching ever so slowly. But again, the focus here is on the monthly. And the monthly is looking very nice. In fact, any sort of a closure here or higher, or any sort of a closure just on a closing new high above 322.4. And I'm looking for the all-time high to be retested coming into next month, and probably new all-time highs overall. I mean, technically speaking, any sort of a closure above that January closing high is a new high to begin with, as I don't really count the wicks for this for that particular thing. But overall, the trend is still being maintained to the upside. And check this out as well. This is the same trend line on monthly Stokes that have been working ever since January of 2010, 2011, back down around here. I think I already have it in there. Yeah, it is already in there. All right, well, fair enough. But again, protecting against the bullish control zone, and all of these have been phenomenal buys within this region. And you could almost interpret this as a test right here. Yes, it does get a little more aggressive, as it really should be thought of as more like a regression. But at the end of the day, this is again coming down to an area where it typically does turn back up, as it's essentially approaching the all-time high, and it's going to have a chance to close on a new high today. What else do we want to look at before we get into Bitcoin? Or how does this kind of help out the buys for Bitcoin? Well, if everything else is going to be fucking bullish coming into the monthly close today, do I think that Bitcoin's going to go bullish as well? It definitely helps the upside case. We do see strong correlations between Bitcoin and traditional markets on the macro, which it's funny how you don't see anyone talking about how Bitcoin's that safe haven hedge when everything else is rallying. Very strange, but that's just a crypto space, I guess. All right, let's go check out Bitcoin over here. And let's actually just start off with the monthly as well. Why not? It is going to be closing later tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and any sort of a closing monthly price of above 10,750 would be a breakage of this structure, and I would be looking for I'd be looking for a move to 14,000 into the next couple months. Very, 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 very likely. This would look like one massive accumulation phase right here. I don't know about massive, but it would look like an accumulation phase right here. A nice little rounded cup as Bitcoin does turn the momentum back up. Looking at and it rhymes, so it's true. It's like that's how the fucking I love how people say something that rhymes to like a serious question. It's like, that's just it. That's my reasons. It's like, the fuck did you just say to me, man? The point that I'm trying to make here is that monthly Stokes will be turning back up, confirming a rejection of the bearish control zone, and this is also coming along the side of RSI doing the same thing as well. Even have a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders here as well, although I don't necessarily put too much weight on it. But it very likely this read does offer up support around the midline on the at about 55 RSI, which by the way is protected by the exponential right now as well. I'd very likely be looking looking for a move back up to the bullish control zone here. What else do we want to say? If we're looking at the reverse Stochastic indicator cross, momentum on the monthly remains to the upside as long as we're closing above 9,600. That would be about a $1,500 move today. Just to put that in perspective, of course, anything can happen at the end of the day, and if you live long enough, you will be constantly ingrained with that lesson, as I have been myself. But I'd say that it's looking rather likely here, and we can look at probabilities a little bit later. But overall, any sort of the key here is any sort of a closure above 10,750, and I really want that to be the focus of today, because that is what I think most people are probably concerned with on Bitcoin, the long-term price action. And for my own trading biases here as well, we've kind of had the easy trades up to 11,500 after our initial criteria was met in the last couple of weeks. And that to me is it's, yes, the lower term timeframes have a lot of opportunity right now because the ranges are rather big, but the next big opportunity is very likely going to be set in after we get this monthly. If I had to pester a gander at that guess, or you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, let's go look at the weekly as well, because CMEs will be closing for the weekly today, and any sort of a closure above this February high right here at 10,670 on a wick basis is looking pretty damn good to me as well, for continuation up to another retest of basically like 12,000 in the short term. And momentum will remain to the upside on CMEs, which very likely flows through on true spot price action, as we have really been seeing CMEs kind of take over on the pole position for being like the gold standard chart for measuring against. Just doesn't have enough history yet to really make that much sense of it, but over time it really has taken a much more pole position for myself, and I think a lot of other people out there have been noticing this as well. But looking at this right here, we do see that momentum on the weekly will remain to the upside as long as this one closes above 11,050. And again, this one does close for the weekly today, where a spot closes on Sunday, but this one should set the tone for spot. And this would also, again, be considered a more aggressive read for weekly momentum, which, things do typically tighten up their momentum as rallies or trends strengthen over time. Absolutely. That's why, I like to draw these trend lines on Stokes, especially more like regression, something like this. And while this one is getting rather tight, it would say that we probably do have another leg on this one overall before a greater consolidation and retracement to the downside. Looking at weekly RSI, same thing, actually working its way into the bullish control zone for the first time since August 2019, by the way. We've been allergic to the bullish control zone for about quite literally 1 year, and I think that well, it's by no mistake that same area comes from this drop right here, from 10,500 all the way to ultimately 5,000 down here on a closing basis. Same thing I'd imagine for spot price action as well. We do see that the weekly RSI is going to have a chance to do something that it just has not done since August, quite literally 1 year ago. So maybe the moon cycles are right. It's just on a year cycle, perhaps. No, just kidding. Well, maybe not. I don't. Who the fuck knows? At the end of the day, I don't care why something works. I just care that it does work. And at this point, I don't really think that would work at all. I'm just talking shit. But more importantly, getting back into the bullish control zone would be rather impressive, especially seeing as the last time that we actually spent a prolonged stint in it was April 2019 through that area. So April 2019 started, I think, right around here. No, April, May. Yeah, right around here, coming out of this first split right here. So I kind of want to start to explain my sort of more long-term and perhaps even macro view on Bitcoin right now. So keep in mind that weekly RSI made it for the first time into the bullish control zone on that run at the end of April in 2019. And we're talking about the run that led Bitcoin all the way from 4,000 right here on the breakout to 14,000, about a 250% rally, right? Within the context of like 3 months. It's just just Bitcoin shit, right? And that came out of this base right here after a 3-month long consolidation right here. During this 3-month long consolidation right here, and sorry, I need to be very, very direct in saying this, because this is probably one of the more important parts that I really want to harp on right now. But let's kind of highlight it once again. I'm talking about this area right here. This was a 3-month long consolidation. We had a nice ascending triangle on the lows, a bullish reaccumulation formation right here. Don't have it necessarily drawn in perfectly. Maybe let's go pull up this chart right here. Yeah, there we go. Volume signature was declining the whole way, confirming this as a nice ascending triangle. Historical volatility percentile was going into one of the more aggressive contraction phases that we've seen in a long time over about 3 months, from December to to March. And after that, your first major move up was about a $1,500 move to the upside from 4,000 to 5,500. So quite literally a $1,500 move to the upside. Not that I don't want to be misheard here. I don't think that that number is like magical, but it's very similar to what we're seeing right now, as we get a very similar read on this current price action right here. What did we have? We had a nice ascending triangle in over the last 3 months from May to where we are right now in basically August. And that first major move up, $1,500 move. We also see a nice declining volume read going from left to right here, which was resolved more recently about a week ago. And then on top of that, we do see historical volatility percentile after contracting for 3 months is now in an expansion phase. So all these things working together. And then we could also even bring up entropy as well, which we can show over here. By the way, during these moves, we do see that entropy was falling during that first major splurt, falling over here during that first major splurt. Nice bounce as we put in a little bit of a base. So essentially what the picture that I'm kind of suggesting right now is that Bitcoin is very likely to continue to the upside from this price point. Again, granted, all of the higher term timeframes follow through today, but this is kind of the fun part of technical analysis, doing more crystal ball type shit, I suppose. That's not real technical analysis, but just coming up with, I suppose, more likelihoods and biases. And in this way, it would suggest that it's very unlikely that Bitcoin just spent 3 months consolidating to just have one move without any continuation. I mean, this is very much par for the course on Bitcoin, on how it moves on the macro, both to the upside and the downside, where it spends about 3 months consolidating and then big moves for a couple weeks, and then goes into another consolidation phase, at which point the next leg gets decided if it wants to be a continuation or a reversal. We see the same thing in end of 2018 right here as well. 3 month consolidation in this ascending triangle going in from July, August to October, November, where we broke down. And there you go. You got your 2 weeks of trend, small stutter step in a consolidation right here, then a small continuation phase, which leads into the reversal. We have another phase over here, same thing going in from the 2014-2015 bear market to bull market switch up, a little bit different overall, but that's why I really like using volume and volatility to kind of measure these, as well as we can see very similar reads there too. Well, I guess I can't bring up why wouldn't this show right here? Oh, because I'm on a weekly, that's why. But about the same things there as well. And realistically, the point that I'm trying to make here is that when we have those reads on all those different indicators lining up with each other, we're usually looking at big trending moves that get at least a few drives of follow through. And this is the one that I was kind of documenting right here. 3 months long of very aggressive contraction on the last major lows right here, and then same thing on this area right here, on this major high and on this major high, and yeah, pretty much on all major pivots actually for Bitcoin. Anyways, going back into the more proximal times for Bitcoin, we do see that still the critical areas to the upside are very much the same. 11,500 is the area that I'm watching on the macro here, because this is the area that Bitcoin's been getting rejected at ever since January 2018. So that to me is still the next big hurdle for Bitcoin, if you want to make that analogy, I guess. On the macro scale, meaning that if Bitcoin can get back above there, Bitcoin can actually close back above 11,500 on a weekly closing basis, it will prove. It will have proven itself as actually having a change behavior on the macro scale. This area right here is very much indicative of institutional order flow dynamics at play. Anytime that you see these massive wicks to the upside and then price action just crashing to the downside after that, and works to the upside as well, it just vice versa sort of philosophy, I suppose, would suggest that that's basically where all the big boys are getting their fills in. And if Bitcoin can actually get back above there and close above there, then we'll have a change of behavior. Those same people who are selling there are no longer selling there anymore, and very likely we can just talk about general moon boy bullishness, I guess, which I really want to stay away from myself. But targets after that would be, I guess, short term like 13,500, then probably 16,000 and 20,000, and perhaps even beyond. And then even this starts to look like one massive ascending triangle here as well. Although the apex for this triangle wouldn't really be coming in until like November 2021. So it could say that it could also suggest that we probably have another half a year in order to actually break this, maybe in like January of 2021. But all these areas do line up rather well with major pivots on both horizontals and Fibonacci's as well. So, I do quite like this, and that's essentially what I'm looking for, and can potentially be confirmed relatively soon. So let's go now. Let's now go down to the lower term timeframes here, as I want to follow up from yesterday. So we did hit our $10,800 target yesterday, or $10,811 off. Krown sucks. No, I really dislike speaking like that, because it makes it sound like that's a done deal. It's not always going to look not always going to work like that. But when ranges are rather well defined, I do think that things are they do play very technically. So those those calls typically will work. But looking at this right here, we do see that the 4 hours essentially having a reset in the way that I look at it. We do have hidden bullish divergence being confirmed yesterday, and again, actually going to have a potential to do another drive today if Bitcoin can confirm another higher low right here on the 4 hour, which could imply another test down to the 21, but it would imply that we do not have a closure below a closure below our last low. Which I don't really have a strong opinion about. In fact, Bitcoin looks more or less neutral here. If you're just it's flagging out, of course, but it looks kind of more neutral-ish in comparison to some other things that I do want to show you in just a bit. I just kind of reminded myself, I suppose. But essentially the same ranges as yesterday. I don't really have anything new to add. I really have nothing new to add to those ranges. I mean, it's the same shit, man. it's the same shit here. So what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Essentially, what I'd be watching is 10,000. I'd be watching this liquid zone right here. I'd be watching 10,800 as kind of like a medium-term pivot to the downside, meaning that if Bitcoin does break it, I would look for extension another $300 to $400 lower towards 10.5 region, back down around here. But that to me is more akin to the long-term range to the downside, and I do think that 10,500 or 10,600 will get retested again in cryptocurrency land. Probably in the next couple of weeks, even if this is, massively bullish and does break to the upside, which I actually do think that it's going to. But still, looking at the higher term timeframes, it would not really offset too much to come back down and test around there. So I do want to be flexible in sort of my approach to that. And more importantly, the way that I trade this is more or less the same. There's no like fucking magic pill here. Any sort of a closure on a 2 hour or 4 hour dildo below 10.8, and yes, I'd be looking for extension to about 10.5 region, and very likely a bounce there, and then I want to come back and see that one. A closure below 10.5 though, that's when I do start to lose my my long-term bullishness for Bitcoin, and I'd be looking at this as potentially one massive fake out. Do I think that that's what's happening here? No, but that would be my criteria for switching up all of my trading opinions. As it stands right now, Bitcoin just looks like it's putting in yet again another bullish reaccumulation formation right here, some sort of an ascending triangle at a high level, typically going to break in that direction when you do consolidate on a resistance, looking more or less good here, and would imply a move towards, I believe, 11.5 if I had to guess. Just doing some very bad measured moves here, and what do you know, it lines up with about 10.550-ish region, which is the macro area if we want to remind each other of that fact. So, or of that fact, it's like it's set in stone. No, it's not, but it is, it is a rather important area, historically speaking. So looking at this right here, the implications is both the same to the upside and the downside. To the downside, like I said, I'd be actually looking a little bit further south, like 10.500-ish region. But the key critical points for the medium terms are going to be 10.8 for myself, or you can even just cut this guy to the middle, 10.850-ish region on a 2 hour or 4 hour dildo closure. I'm looking for continuation back down here. By the same token, to the upside, a little bit easier to the upside. 10,200 still the area that I'd be looking at. Oh, and we actually did hit the 10,200 target yesterday. Nice. Well, 11,180, whatever, close enough. But yeah, a 2 hour or 4 hour dildo closure above 10,200, and realistically, I actually probably don't even need to see a closure above there. I just need to see a wick above yesterday's high at 10,188 spot 65. It looks like on GDAX, and I'd be looking for extension to that 11,500-ish target. I must be mixing up 11 and 10 very often. Please understand that I'm probably dyslexic and also autistic and all these other things that are probably terrible for you. I think it's probably quite obvious exactly what I do mean, but if I do mix up those numbers, feel free to check me on that as well. Anyways, here's a thing also that I think helps out Bitcoin's Bula-ish case, and that's the strength in Mr. Butyrol right now. Mr. Butyrol's continuation. This is still bullish. This is still looking for another leg. This looks good. I don't know what this wick is about right here. I think it's just a bad print on this exchange because I don't really see it on any of the major exchanges. Yeah, definitely don't see it right here either. And overall, Mr. Butyrol, we can talk about short-term targets and everything, but I do think it's going up to $400 here. More medium and long term. Short term, I'd have an area of interest somewhere around like 360-ish region, and I will highlight that area right now. But I don't really look at that as anything more than just short term, and realistically, actually, funnily enough, 420 is a legitimate target for this one, 415 to 420-ish region. And again, monthly close coming, happening today as well. And any sort of a monthly close above this prior high at basically 290, and I'm looking for continuation in this region right here, and then pullbacks from that region as well. So keep that in mind. A little bit tighter margins here, but overall looking pretty damn good. Momentum oscillators looking. Well, we don't really have enough information for them on the monthly. On the weekly, looking more or less fine as well. I would get cautious on this one. I'd get very cautious on this one with any sort of a daily total closure below 310. That would be a major warning flag. But the key critical area is technically 290, so it's actually got quite a wide berth here, and being very generous to the downside as it's currently trading 333. So a lot of area to fill out there, but overall, the trend is your friend, and the trend is you don't need me to tell you where the trend is on this one, man. It's looking good. Anyways, let's go check out some of the other major things that we like to check out in this market. Let me just take a look at time. It's already 26 minutes in. Nice. All right, cool. Let's go look at triple Qs. Close in the day. Triple Qs. Show me the chart. Show me what you got, triple Qs. Back up to our target from yesterday, 261. I'll be looking for extension today, all the way up to 264.5. Oh, this is going to be a fun day, I think. Oh, euro dollar. This was a macro target here on the monthly at 119.5, and it looks like we're going to hit it a lot sooner than what I thought. Again, this is why I don't think time analysis is something that I can do or that I can trust in at all. I would be looking for pullbacks at around the 119.5 marker, a little bit higher than that. And then probably play out a range for like a month or two between 117.5 and that 119.5 region. And then we'll get to play the fun game of, is this your next macro lower high before continuation to doom targets? Or is this actually the next big breakout before a major move up towards 126? I do imagine that this does mean that Dixie is headed down to our $91.5 target, which, let's go check on this one. Yeah, getting close. But still a little bit more to go. And actually, let me just mark it off right here because I don't have it in there just yet. We'll do something like this, actually. And I'd have like a nice little liquid zone right here around the 200, which, 91.5 to a little bit under $91. Or sorry, 91.25 to 90.75. Yeah, nice 50-cent range right there. I do think that short and medium term, we got some more downside here to go. As far as the monthly goes, but I would be looking for a big bounce off this region and potentially reversal off this region. But I want to see it in real time, and it's probably going to happen over the course of months. So I would look for things to slow up right here if it is indeed going to actually turn into a reversal. But for right now, still more downside to go, at least in the way that I look at this. For the short and medium terms, I do think that target is hit into August or September or whatever it ends up being as far as timing goes. Let's go look at let's go look at Tesla. Here's actually something that I think is rather interesting right now. I do think that Tesla is still pretty much topped out. We are seeing rotations. I think that this yesterday's closure has really confirmed this in the traditional market. So it is rather enlightening of what's going on here, because Tesla was the big one that kind of blew off its top. Everyone got really excited about. It felt like Bitcoin in 2017, right? And that's essentially what we're seeing in traditional markets right now. We're seeing kind of like a 2017-ish type move, which you all know how that ends, but it doesn't mean that it's ending right now. And rotations essentially means that the techs, which is Nasdaq, which is what Nasdaq represents, which is really only lifted by about 5 or 6 major names, has been making new all-time highs this the whole last few months, while the world is apparently on fire. Weird. That's strange. But this shit just keeps on going up. It's almost as if wait, I won't say it. Can't say it, man. Probably get banned from YouTube. But but the point that I'm trying to make right now is that keep an eye on the techs like Tesla, Apple, and Microsoft, because they are Apple and Microsoft are actually looking okay. Tesla's not, and the thing with that is that Tesla topping out here and actually playing out some sideways and probably a little bit of down as well, while the rest of the market does get rotated to the upside, would suggest that Tesla's probably done. Yes, and looking at the weekly right here, does it follow through with the rest of the market? It's certainly on the weaker side, absolutely. But how does the strength in the broad market carry on to something like this? It probably just means that it ranges. There's, in my opinion, no reason to be bullish on this thing as long as it's especially below on a daily closing basis, 1550 now, and on a if you want to be a little more conservative, I'd say 1650. But overall, the strength in traditional markets right now would have allowed this one to reapproach its high if it indeed wanted to, and it looks like it just keeps on finding sellers. So to me, this one is, I do think that is probably blowing its top off, and I'd be looking for it to trade sideways for a while, and then it'll probably make the first major move down once the party's over, and that probably comes sometime around, if I had to guess, election time for the for the U.S. government. Somewhere around there, maybe like a couple months before it'll become like a legitimate, concern, I suppose. But targets to the downside, not that I'm saying that they're happening like today or tomorrow, but over time, going to be 1,200 and then 1,000 even. Below 1,000 is when things start to turn into like a Bitcoin-esque type retracement, where I'd really be looking a lot further south towards like 500 or 400. And I actually do think that I will head back down there over time. But for now, sideways, and if and I will be completely wrong about what I just said, if it gets a daily closure, especially above 1650, but even 1550 is going to be interesting. So right now it's going to have a chance because the general market, the broad market, is strong. So if it wants to, it can. But right now, this sideways action right here, while everything else continues to go up, is actually not good. If it was like an Apple or Microsoft, it would be doing something like this. This is Apple right here. I'd be looking for Apple to reapproach 390-ish today, low 390s once again. And Microsoft, sort of same thing. I'd be looking for a move back up to like the 208, 209 region. And on the monthlies, these guys are looking a little bit toppy themselves, actually. Does have a potential massive shooting star dildo in play right there on Microsoft. On Apple, not so much. So I really want to see the monthly closures today, because a lot can happen in today's action. But I would imagine that if Microsoft did move back up to 208 or 209 or 210, whatever that area is, it's actually going to have a nice body right here, and it'll look like continuation as well. So I do think that for the strong ones, it's actually very likely we get another leg to the upside here. But the weakness in Tesla does say that, maybe this, probably after this next leg, assuming that Tesla doesn't make new highs along with it, I'd be looking for that one to be the leading indicator. If it turns down and breaks, let's talk about the critical level in this one for a second. The critical level would probably be right here, 1350, especially. Even 1400 is probably bad enough. Then that should be a damn good insight as to when the general market is going to play out a more broader and deeper retracement. So yeah. Anyways, okay, cool. All right, so we spoke about all of that. We got triple Qs. We got traditional markets. Let's go look at Nikkei 225 really quick. Yeah, coming down. Whoa. Wow. Okay. This is very interesting here. Actually, I was not expecting this at all. Wow. What the fuck's going on here? The reason why this one is so interesting to me right now is because all the major indices for traditional markets in the U.S. markets right now look more or less fine, setting up for some nice potential closures coming into the monthly. A lot of the time, Japan can be a leading indicator itself. And this monthly closure would not look all that hot, and it's down 2.5% on the day. We would expect to see futures for Nasdaq, for E-minis, for basically anything in traditional markets to be doing the same thing if that was going to flow into U.S. markets, but we actually don't see that right here as of right now. So keep your eye on that. If there is one major thing saying today could be one massive fake out, it would actually be Japan. Japan looks very bad here coming into the weekly and monthly closure, and this one will close and probably not so long from now. I do know that Japan's basically like a day ahead of us. Let's look at gold for a second. Gold setting up for a very, 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 very nice monthly close as well. I do not understand the disease that people have with wanting to short this one while it's in fucking price discovery. I'd be looking for new all-time highs coming into August and September. Yes, at some point I'd be looking for a deeper retracement, probably back down to test around 1900 or 1850. But I do think that would be an initial opportunity. And again, I'm not a fan of gold. I don't hold gold. I don't really care about gold. I think it's kind of silly. Peter Schiff sounds like he's out of touch with reality. But at the end of the day, as far as charts goes, this is a very good chart, and I'd be looking for new all-time highs, into the next couple months. Again, I would also account for a retracement back down to like 1900 or 1850ish region. Anywhere in there is fine, but there's nothing bearish about this chart at all. Whatsoever. Even the monthly, which will it will create some bearish divergence at some point, yes, but that wouldn't. But right now we don't even have a high in. On the daily, there's not even bearish divergence present either. So at least another leg to the upside, and then at that point you probably do get a little bit of bearish divergence on the daily, and we'll see how that kind of lines up with the impending monthly close and weekly close for this one tonight. Okay, what else do we want to check out? Let's see, Cardano versus Bitcoin. Strange chart going on right here. Why the fuck am I looking at this garbage fuck shit again? Link's interesting, actually. I still think that it does pop back up to like 75,000 Satoshis, as I said the last few days. I think that is trying right here, actually. It actually got up to 70,000, so not bad. But I do think a little bit more, and then I'd want to come back to it and see the monthly close later tonight. Monthly closing like this, it doesn't really give me all that much. Yes, that is a massive whip to the upside. It would probably imply that the party's over for a little bit of time at least. But I wouldn't be too quick to judge this one just yet. I think that it plays out a bounce here regardless, up to that level, and then we'll come back to it once we get the monthly close later tonight. What else do we have? Let's go look at Ripple Me Nipples for shits and giggles. Someone asked me the other day, wow, did he just call Ripple shit? I would never say that Ripple is shit, actually. I have no opinion on Ripple, the technology, at all, because that's not for me to say. As far as charts go, though, this is a three-year down long chart. So if there's anything to say about that, it is a whole lot of... I mean, here's the thing, man. We can obviously have different dispositions and different definitions of things, but a chart that has gone down over 3 years, straight down, 97.13% is going away to shitcoin fucking hell. Just kidding. If you're the Ripple gang. I mean, I just don't understand the obsession with the chart that goes straight fucking down. I love losing money. Oh, fuck! No. Do you like losing money? Do you love straight down shit charts? Do you love technology that will never come to fruition? Do you love joining a fucking gang? Then Ripple's for you, baby! Jesus fucking Christ, man. I mean, here's the thing. There's going to be a percentage of the population that gets addicted to, drinking laundry detergent and drinking bleach and like eating fucking plastic. And that's just the way that we're wired, man. I have my weird fucking quirks as well, too. At least if people are getting addicted to this shit, they're not drinking fucking laundry detergent. So that's good. So always look at the positive side. And that's your goddamn positive message of the fucking day. Wow, it looks bullish. I mean, it probably does go up here. Here's the thing. If it can go up right now, it will go up right now. The problem is that it can go up right now, and it's not really going up much right now. Oh my god, man. Yeah, great chart. Really, really great chart. Probably does get to go up, and I get to eat my words. Oh well, fair enough. Alrighty, so while that thing is going sideways, what is Monero doing? Going up. Hey. There is also such a thing as opportunity cost. Oh my god, man. All right, what about Stellar? It's like Ripple's brother. Even Stellar is going up, man. Even Stellar. That must be maddening. No disrespect to all the Ripple hodlers out there and the Ripple traders out there. It's just, I'm always curious to know why. What do we have on Litecoin? Litecoin looks like everything wants to go up right now. Okay, cool. What about Litecoin Bitcoin, actually? I mean, still, a very shitty chart here. Very shitty chart. Does it have bullish divergence? Is it probably going to rally up here? Yeah, it probably does. If it, if we get a weekly close over 52,500 or what is that, 525, 100,000 Satoshis, then yeah, I'd be looking for a move significantly higher towards 65, 70,000 Satoshis region, or 100,000, I suppose. Mr. Buteral versus Bitcoin hit our target at the 200x Benjamin average, now going sideways. I do think that it probably has another leg here as well. Daily is looking good for another try back up towards 313. Monthly closing is gonna have a chance here as well. If Buteral closes above the 21, does it get another try up to try to the upside? Maybe like 0.04 region. Probably yes over time. Let's go back to Bitcoin really quick. Okay. Did we say everything that we want to say about Bitcoin? We haven't even really looked at momentum oscillators here, have we? All right, good old mommy oscillators. Get your chicken tendies out and flying about. And what do we see on the 4-hour? 4-hour momentum will turn back up to the upside with any sort of a closure above 11,100. So keep in mind that area is actually interesting as well, just because it is a little bit lower than the continuation point that I'm looking at myself at 11,200. So it would say that a closure above there probably does err this, very, 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 very likely err it on the side of continuation to the upside towards the 11.5 target. By the same token, to the downside, not really good way of measuring that right now. I'd still just have to use 10.8, same areas yesterday. 3-hour showing momentum to the upside as long as we're closing above 10,950 and rejecting the bearish control zone on that last tick. Looking okay there. 3-hour RSI as well, looking okay. I don't really have too much to make out of that. 2-hour showing about the same thing. Just under 11,000 from momentum to remain to the upside. I mean, it looks to me like we're going to actually retest 10.8 again, and but does 10.8 hold? I think it probably does hold again, and then gives another try to the upside. Hourly shows momentum down as long as below 11,500. So we actually do see bifurcation here. What does that align with? Probably some sideways within the range, setting up for the monthly closure, which is really the main message that I want to have today. Crypto, since we are in the crypto nerd session right now, is we're 42 minutes in. What the fuck, man? 10 hours, a little bit under pressure here. We'll turn momentum to the downside if we close this next one below 11,050, and that would actually very easily could drive a target down to 10,500-ish region. But again, remains to be seen. We still got another like 4 hours, I think, until closure. 4 hour looks okay to me. We already looked at 4-hour momentum, or sorry, no. This is 12-hour. Jesus Christ, man, I'm way off today. Looks like a backfill right here and then up, and momentum will turn back to the upside with any sort of a closure on this next 12-hour dildo above 11,035 region, which would be a bounce off the critical zone. You do see that rather often during strong trending moves, and if Bitcoin, this would suggest essentially that if Bitcoin is going to remain bullish, we see continuation sooner rather than later, meaning like probably today actually. Let's go check out probabilities, first off, let's go back down to lower term timeframes and mark off the areas of interest. For the medium term, still 10,800 to the downside and 11,200 to the upside, with particular interest for the long term, macro at 11,500 to the upside, and to the downside, long term 10.5. And we can now go in and look at the medium term first. Do 11.2 and then what did I say? 10.8. Let's do 10.850 actually. Just kind of give it a little bit more due diligence here. Probabilities would be showing actually a massive favor in the upside. Yeah, this is on current, by the way. So 42% probability for the upside to be resolved in that direction versus 29.5% to the downside. This is on today's daily little closure. So this would suggest that bulls do have the ball in their court right now. In comparison to the downside resolution. From a 12-hour perspective, it's actually rather high on the upside as well, and a lot more aggressive of a spread there, 40% versus about 22, 23%. And now we can look at the macro to the upside and the long term to the downside, I suppose, as well. Just out of curiosity, how likely is it that we get like major drives continuation today? Not very likely. To the upside, okay, I suppose. 14% above 11,500 for today's daily and monthly closure. 10,500 3 spot, 81% to the downside. This is on 12-hour, by the way. Sorry, let's go to the daily. Daily showing 20 spot, 20.75% to the upside above 11.5. 10.5 showing 9 spot 6.9. Good number right there. If we look 7 days out, we can see the probability for the greater range, which would show above target probability, same as what I just said, 20.75, above 13,500, which very interesting number right there. By the same token, to the downside would have a 9 spot 6.9% probability to close below 9,000. So it does wane over time as well, but would also imply that we get continuation sooner rather than later in this current structure. So my general message, or at least what I'm looking for right now, is the monthly close, obviously. But overall, I do think that Bitcoin probably does get another drive to the upside here, and sets it up for a rather nice closure, especially alongside what we see in the general market sphere right now, minus Japan's Nikkei 225. That is a little bit scary right there. But overall, the levels are well defined. 10.8 to the downside, 11.2 to the upside for the medium term. 11.5 to the upside is macro fun times. 10.5 to the downside is probably very likely going to get continuation, another like $1,000 to the downside, and could turn into a massive reversal. But for right now, I'll be looking at this as more or less fine, and with particular interest on the monthly closure later tonight, of which that's going to mean tomorrow is going to be a rather fun day with a lot of long-term stuff to be talking about. So I will stop this right there before I say any more dumb shit. I'd like to wish you well once again. Take care, and until next time.